What if your homework wasn't some boring chore, but an actual conversation? What if it knew exactly where you were struggling and could help you out right then and there? Okay, let's get into this because today we're looking at a new AI tool that could seriously change the game for how students learn.
First up, let's just admit it. We've all been there, staring at a worksheet, totally stuck. You get an answer wrong, you have no idea why, and then you have to wait, days for any kind of feedback? It's slow, it's frustrating, and honestly, it's just not a great way to learn. But imagine if we could just reinvent that whole process. What if your study sessions were actually dynamic, responsive? What if they really truly understood you? Well, that's the big question this new approach is trying to solve.
So let's break down the real problems here, because they're pretty clear when you list them out. Most students get these generic one-size-fits-all worksheets. There's no instant feedback, and the biggest one? When you get something wrong, nobody explains why it was wrong. That means you can't really track your progress, and your parents and teachers are kind of left guessing about where you really need help.
Okay, so to fix all of that, the source material introduces something called the AI Study Companion. Now, this is not just another study app. It's a total rethinking of how we learn. It's built on something called agentic AI, which is just a fancy way of saying it's not one single program. Instead, think of it as a whole team of specialized AIs that work together like a crew.
And here's what it looks like. The interface is super clean, really simple. A student just picks their grade, subject, and topic. But the real magic is that button right there, Plan and Generate Questions. One click on that, and this entire automated team of AI specialists gets to work behind the scenes.
So how does this whole thing actually work? Well, like I said, it's not just one big AI model doing everything. It's a coordinated team, and each member has a very specific job. So, let's meet the team. The system is built around 7 distinct autonomous AI agents. Seriously, think of it like a highly efficient tutoring dream team that works together perfectly to build a custom learning experience for you, from scratch, every single time.
Let's just walk through how this crew operates, because it's pretty cool. First up, you've got the planner agent, who designs the perfect session just for you. Then, the question writer steps in and creates the problems. Once you've answered, the grader gives you an instant score. But it doesn't stop there. The explainer agent comes in to break down why an answer was right or wrong. All of that info then gets sent to the progress tracker, which builds this long-term profile of your skills. And finally, the reporter wraps it all up in a neat summary for you, your parent, or even your teacher. And this diagram here shows you exactly how that handoff works. You can see it's like a relay race. The output from one agent becomes the input for the next one. The planner hands the baton to the question generator, who passes it to the grader, and so on. It's just a really clean, logical pipeline that makes sure every step is handled by an expert. Okay, so that's all the theory and the tech behind the curtain. But what does a student actually see and feel? Let's look at the results of all this teamwork, because this is where it gets really exciting for the learner.
So, check this out. On the left, you've got a student working through a fractions worksheet made just for them. And on the right, literally seconds after they hit submit, boom! They get a complete question-by-question breakdown of their score. No waiting around, no guesswork.
This quote from the project report just hits the nail on the head. It says, "Students rarely understand why an answer was wrong." And it's so true. Just getting a big red X on your paper doesn't actually teach you anything. The real learning happens when you get the explanation. And here it is. This is the work of the explainer agent. First, it gives you a little hint, just to nudge you in the right direction. Then it gives you a full, clear explanation. For that first question, it doesn't just say, 2/4 is 1/2. It explains how you simplify the fraction. That's the difference between just grading and actually teaching. And what's so important here is that the system remembers everything. This is where the progress agent shines. It builds this super detailed profile over time, tracking your accuracy on specific skills. And then it even writes up a little summary for you, pointing out your strengths and suggesting what you should tackle next.
And finally, you have the report agent. This one basically translates all that data into something a human can easily understand. And what's really smart is that it changes its tone depending on who it's talking to. The report for a student is all encouraging and forward-looking. But a report for a teacher, that's going to be way more diagnostic, pointing out specific concepts that might need to be retaught in class.
So when you put all these pieces together, you start to see that this isn't just a win for the student. It actually creates this positive loop for everyone involved in that student's education.
Let's just quickly break that down. For students, it means practice sessions that are actually made for them, instant feedback, and way less frustration, which means more confidence. And for parents and teachers, it automates all that tedious work of making and grading worksheets, and instead, it gives them crystal clear data on exactly where a student needs help. It really turns them from graders into guides.
So it really all comes down to this one final thought. We usually think of our favorite teachers as people, right? But when an AI can plan, explain, and track your progress with this kind of personalization and endless patience, well, it really makes you wonder, doesn't it?